Best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, thanks for coming along for the ride with us here on a Thursday. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. Virtual remote today for Cayman's. You're looking for a last-minute Valentine's Day gift. Cayman's has been a Norman institution for over 45 years. Lifestyle store featuring men's and women's clothing and accessories, skincare and fragrances, home decor, and designer jewelry. If you're shopping for a guy on Valentine's Day, Peter Millar, OU SEC polos and quarter zips. It's a whole bunch found only at Cayman's. Complimentary gift wrapping is included. Give them a call at 405-360-3969, 405-360-3969. This hour of the show is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. Fantastic prices, fantastic service, fantastic sales staff out there, low-pressure environment, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, all that and more out at Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Your Valentine's Day shopping over with, Grayson?
Pretty much.
What do you mean pretty much?
One more thing to get, but we're in a good spot.
Okay. So you like you went and shopped for multiple things.
A little bit.
Dang, okay. Multiple gifts
on
this Valentine's Day?
No, there's not going to be multiple. There's just one thing I have to get.
So it's one gift that consists of
like one or two things.
Okay.
That I can knock out in 30 minutes.
Okay, fair enough.
Dang,
sounds like you're going pretty big for this Valentine's Day.
Not huge, but decent.
I mean, bigger than I would expect. Like this girl's been in the picture for what, like 6 weeks? 6-8 weeks?
Going on there.
Okay.
I guess it's not going to be anything, it's not going to be anything bombastic.
I respect the hustle, though.
Oh, yeah.
I respect it. Cayman's is the place to go if you're still shopping for Valentine's Day.
One hell of a place for that.
There you go, folks. 405-360-3969 out there at Carriage Plaza on Main Street. If you're still looking for Valentine's Day gifts, stop by Cayman's. How are we feeling today on a Thursday?
For the life of me, you guys were talking about potential new coaches for Oklahoma earlier on in your show with Steely. And for the life of me, I don't understand how nobody wants to throw this name out.
Oh, let's hear it. I'm very intrigued.
And I said this when I was doing when I was doing radio in Stillwater last year. I said this exact same thing when Oklahoma State fired Mike Boynton. Go get Will Wade. Go get Will Wade. He led VCU to 2 NCAA tournaments. He went to the tournament 3 of 5 years with LSU. Had the number 1 draft pick with Ben Simmons. So they went to the tournament before Ben Simmons, and they went to the tournament after Ben Simmons. And he got McNeese State to a 30-win season and a regular season title. And they're 19-4 right now. You'd be a decent race for him. You don't have to pay premium dollars for him because he's been in trouble with the NCAA. And everybody knows he's been in trouble with the NCAA. Guess what? I don't give a rip. Times are changing. Nothing's illegal anymore.
Does he have a show cause? Is that why he's at McNeese? Does he have a show cause?
Does he still have a show clause?
Let's see. As of June 22nd, 2023, Will Wade has a 2-year show cause. So that's expiring this offseason.
This summer. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. I would if you do end up in a situation where you part ways with Porter Moser, I would go get Will Wade. Name me another mid-major coach that has a better resume right now, including SEC experience. Give me one that's better than Will Wade.
You probably can't find one.
I'll wait.
And McNeese, the year before he got there, didn't they win like 6 games? I mean, they were atrocious.
They're bad. And
then
one
boom,
year,
all of a sudden, 30 wins.
30 wins, conference title. Now that I think about it, because did they lose their conference tournament championship? Were they one of the teams that lost their conference tournament championship that might have been the reason Oklahoma didn't get into the tournament?
Oh, you know what?
Because
you're right. I don't think that had an impact on Oklahoma making the tournament because I don't think
– No, because there were multiple conferences that had a mid-major conferences that had a ranked team that lost their conference championship, which added another automatic bid in there, or another at-large bid that we didn't expect, and that might have kept Oklahoma out of the tournament.
Yeah, they got to the round of 64 this past season. Did they win the tournament? Did they win the conference tournament, or were they? No, they did win.
They
the
did. Okay, so they weren't one of those teams.
They were not a bid thief.
There were one or two bid thieves on Selection Sunday last year. But to get back to the point, there's your best coach coming up from a mid-major this year. I thought Oklahoma State should have gotten him last year. Instead, they went with Steve Lutz. I think they should get Will Wade if they part ways with Porter Moser.
I like the ambition that you're bringing to the table here.
That's a very good word.
The question is,
because I know it's highly ambitious.
The question is, who else is going to be in the market for Will Wade's services this offseason, and will Oklahoma go the extra mile to make the deal with him? Because I'll be completely honest. If you wanted to go hire Kellen, I got stuck somewhere halfway between Kelvin Sampson and Kellen Sampson. If you wanted to go hire Kellen Sampson, you could hire Kellen Sampson. I think as of right now, Oklahoma is the only job that Kellen Sampson would leave Houston for.
Probably.
So you could make that happen. Could you go hire Will Wade? I'm less confident, but if that possibility is out there, if that's something that you feel like could come to fruition, you feel like you got a shot with a guy like that, then yeah, shoot, launch a pursuit. I mean, you go back to 2021, Porter Moser was the darling of that coaching carousel, and Oklahoma landed him. So there's precedent, which it's just all the more bewildering to me how this hasn't worked out with Porter and Oklahoma, because that was the home run hire, man.
It was.
That was the home run hire, because they could have gone the easy route at that point. They could have gone not necessarily in-house, but as close to in-house as you can get externally. They could have hired Kellen Sampson in 2021, and I don't think anybody would have had beef with that, but they swung for the fences. They went and landed Porter Moser, and it just hasn't worked, man. It just hasn't worked, and it has been bad basketball.
To your point about who else would hire Will Wade, let me ask you this. Look around the SEC.
Okay.
Who's getting fired? Vanderbilt has outperformed expectations.
They have.
Georgia looks competent. Mm-hmm. Mississippi State is about as good as it was last year.
Yep.
Rick Barnes isn't going nowhere. Buzz Williams isn't going nowhere. The guy at Florida is not going anywhere. The only coach that you may think has underperformed and may get fired is Rodney Terry at Texas.
That's true.
In the SEC.
That's true. And I wonder if Texas does have a quick trigger finger with him, especially because he was an in-house promotion after everything went down with Chris Beard. The doormat of the SEC right now is South Carolina. But even that, like Lamont Paris, their head coach, he's got a ton of security. Pretty sure they just signed him to an extension last year. So, yeah.
They did.
You probably won't have any competition within the SEC for Will Wade if that's the guy you wanted to hire. But it's interesting. I mean, I
just wanted to throw that out there because I was listening to you guys and I'm screaming in my office. I'm like, nobody's talking about this, and why?
It's an interesting thought, man. I think it's fair to wonder, though, like based on everything that hasn't come together for Oklahoma in recent years, is that too ambitious of a name? Is that too? Are you shooting out of your range if you go and try to land Will Wade?
You're the University of Oklahoma.
You are.
What is out of your range? I mean, I know we're talking basketball and not football here, but you're still the University of freaking Oklahoma.
No, you're right. And Will Wade should be within range, but I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Let's call it like it is. Doesn't really feel like, at least in the recent past, Oklahoma has made it a point to go and get the guy that they want, regardless of what it costs. And the latest example of that would be Jim Knowles.
Right. And the other question begs is, would a sleazy guy or a guy who appears sleazy, who's already been in trouble with the NCAA,
that might be the perfect coach for Oklahoma at this juncture, because
it really would. It would be a complete psychological pivot.
There are plenty of OU fans out there where their perspective on this is Just give me somebody who's going to win. I don't care how much of a scumbag he is. If he wins, I want him here.
I don't care how many rules he toes the line with breaking, which he's already done. I mean, you guys talk all the time on your show. Everybody tampers. Nobody's there to enforce it. Now, would he work well with the compliance office with Oklahoma? Would there be a lot of bashing of heads with that? Probably.
How much longer does the compliance office at OU exist? Realistically, only as long as the NCAA still exists, which might not be all that much longer. So
why don't
okay? You've talked me into it.
Then why don't you hire a dude that's got a few misdemeanors on his resume to lead you into the new era of lawlessness?
Oh man. PA in Del City says, when talking about replacing Porter, why is everyone always talking about Kellen Sampson and never any conversation about Hollis Price or Quantas White? Is it just because of his last name? I think that's probably part of it, and also because he is considered the right-hand man to Kelvin at Houston. A 405 listener. You see, you're speaking the text line's language. This 405 listener says, the guy hosting with Parker needs more airtime.
Appreciate that, homie.
Stock's going up. Approval rate is increasing. So I'm glad we took that little detour, because I think that was a worthwhile conversation about the state of the basketball program and what life post-Porter Moser might look like. And look, I like Porter. I hope he can turn it around. It just doesn't look like that's happening right now, because you got LSU this weekend. You'd hope that's a win. They're 12-12. That might be the last win you get, because the schedule the rest of the way consists of 5 ranked opponents and a team that already beats you on your home floor. So if they don't beat LSU this weekend, you can kiss it goodbye. I mean, their hopes of going to the tournament, slim as they might be right now, are officially dead.
Oh, yeah.
Vanished. Like, it's over. And we're talking about the slightest of glimmers of hope right now, as it is. You lose to LSU, the season's down the tubes, and it's as simple as that. But some news from within the football program today. Your assistant director of player personnel, or director of defensive player personnel, he's in a player personnel role. I don't know what his exact title is.
I think you got it right the first
time. He works in player personnel on the defensive side of the ball. J.P. Lossman has been hired away from the University of Oklahoma by Washington. Washington is bringing J.P. Is it Lossman or is it Lossman? I've never been quite clear on that. Washington is bringing him on staff as the assistant quarterbacks coach. And this is a significant loss, not only because this means you lose J.P. Lossman, but also because his wife, Zoo Lossman, is the director of player and family relations for OU football, and she has been integral to a lot of what has gone on the Soul Mission side the last few years. So it's kind of a double whammy here, because J.P. Lossman did oversee a lot of the player personnel and recruiting efforts on the defensive side of the ball. He had been out on the road throughout the contact period with the coaches because Nate Dreiling hadn't yet been hired, and so the Sooners only had 10 coaches. That 11th slot was vacant, and that allowed J.P. Lossman to go out and recruit on the road on behalf of the Sooners. So he'd been a very prominent part of the operation at OU, but so too had his wife. And so that stinks a little bit. And I know that's an entire area of the football program that plenty of people will never – I mean, and there are many diehard listeners out there who know every single figure involved with OU football and what they do and what their role comprises. But there are plenty of OU football fans out there who have like if they ran into J.P. Lossman at a restaurant, they would have no idea who he is. And so – this kind of thing really, really hurts because JP and his wife, Zoo, provide more value and have provided more value to the OU football machine than I would say most realize or are cognizant of. And, man, it's just another important pair of shoes you have to fill this offseason. There's already been so much change, so much turnover on the on-field staff. I got another key figure in that office that's out the door for another job. And I like it for JP. I presume, and I don't know this for a fact, but I presume it has much to do with his desire to actually coach football as opposed to
right.
just being a player personnel guy. He was a first-round NFL draft pick out of Tulane as a quarterback, played 8 seasons, I do believe, in the NFL, and he'd had a hands-on role in practice with the quarterbacks at Oklahoma ever since the NCAA struck down their limitations last summer on how many coaches you could have actively coaching during practice. But for a guy that played the quarterback position, and if you watched it, like he would often get out there and throw at pro day in years past for Oklahoma, throw to any wide receivers or tight ends that were working out. Dude still has a gun, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for a guy that I believe he's either in his late 30s or early 40s, still pretty young, has a background and had a ton of success as a player in the game of football, I would imagine he probably wants to start working towards an on-field role, and this is kind of a natural step in that direction.
Yeah, no doubt. And his connection to Washington is Jedd Fisch. And when he was playing with Seattle, Jedd Fisch was his quarterback coach.
That's correct.
So that's how that came about. If I was reading Jesse Crittenden's article on OU Insider correctly, this comes after Oklahoma just finalized a contract for one of the analysts from Washington State that worked with Ben Arbuckle, and that analyst is projected to work with quarterbacks too. So kind of what Lossman's job entailed at Oklahoma.
Yeah, and the majority of his role was player personnel. Right. But he did kind of have, and certainly this past season after everything went down with Seth Luttrell, like he had a much more hands-on role with the quarterbacks, but that role wasn't going to really exist for him moving forward because of the addition of John Kucheski from Washington State that you mentioned. So Lossman's role was going to shift back to being primarily just scouting and recruiting on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma. And that's how it's been the last couple of years. It's been Lossman overseeing the defensive operation, Drew Hill overseeing the offensive operation on the personnel and recruiting side. So yet another vacancy that needs to be filled for Oklahoma. Add that to the list this offseason. They're still looking for a GM. They're still looking for an assistant GM because Chuck Lilly left for West Virginia. Much to be rebuilt, I suppose would be the word, in that front office right now for Oklahoma. And it feels weird to be calling it a front office, but in today's college football, that's what it is.
2025, boys and girls.
A lot of modernization has already happened in the past year and will continue to happen in that regard. Going to be interesting to see which direction Oklahoma goes. And there was a listener in the 405 that texted in and said, personally, I think losing Zoo is even more significant than JP. She makes such a difference in the building with the players. Sad to see them both leave. That comes from Button Lady in the 405. And yeah, believe me, there are going to be a lot of folks within that program that are really, really bummed not only to see JP Lossman walk out that door, but to see Zoo walk out that door as well. So 2 for 1 in the wrong sort of way for Oklahoma today with the loss of JP Lossman. So keep filling it up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. The Sooners trending favorably with a cornerback target from the Mid-South, and a highly coveted one at that. We'll dig into that on the other side. You're listening to Locked In here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Hey, Sooner fans, this is Peyton Bowen, and this is The Ref, the home of the Sooner fans. Let's kick it this season. Boomer.
Tired of your current living situation? Now is the best time to make a move. Interest rates are dropping and Home Creations is offering the best financing around with rates as low as 3.625%. This will save you hundreds per month on your brand new Home Creations home. Live like a champion today by calling Holly at 405-364-9999 for full details.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
APR 6.508%.
Your dream home is right around the corner, and at Stride Bank, we're here to make it a reality. With competitive rates, personalized service, and streamlined processes, buying your first home or your forever home has never been easier. Let Stride's experienced mortgage team guide you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to closing. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Imagine one step, and suddenly a fall turns into a fracture.
For many, osteoporosis is a hidden threat, weakening bones silently until it's too late. At the Ortho Central Bone Health Clinic, we believe in personalized care to keep bones strong and resilient. Led by advanced practitioner Amanda Boyd, our team specializes in detection and personalized treatment plans, from bone density testing to strengthening bones after a fracture. Take charge of your bone health today. Call Ortho Central's Bone Health Clinic and let's build better bones together.
March is almost here, and the home of Sooner fans is ready to make the best 68-team giveaway better than ever again this year. Join us Monday, March 17th for the Ref's 24th annual 68-team giveaway, live at Buffalo Wild Wings off of 19th Street and more from noon to 7. The Ref's 68-team giveaway is presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and your home for the best giveaways this March.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland and Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
Is your team coming to Norman or Noble for an event? Let Chick-fil-A 12th Avenue be your winning meal provider. From box meals and nugget trays to lemonade and tea, 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A can provide your team's pre- or post-game meal. Delivery, pickup, or dine-in, 12th Avenue will have you covered. Call us at 405-310-3189 or use the CFA One app and let Chick-fil-A feed your team. Don't forget to ask about the Give Back program for a winning season. Call 405-310-3189 and remember to eat more chicken.
Quick update to the OU baseball schedule this weekend. Skip and the boys getting started tomorrow, and there has been a revision to the opening weekend set with Lehigh. The Sooners are going to play a doubleheader against the Mountain Hawks tomorrow starting at 2 p.m., and then they'll wrap up Saturday with another 2 p.m. first pitch. So, a little bit non-traditional here. But that is how OU baseball is now going to open the season. That update came out about 10 minutes ago from the official OU baseball Twitter account. So for those of you that were planning on getting out to L. Dale Mitchell and seeing some OU Diamond action this weekend, you'll have it on Friday, you'll have it on Saturday. There will be no OU baseball Sunday. But they're going to play 2 on Friday. I think it's hilarious sitting here watching ESPN here in the studio. There's this TV that's always running ESPN programming, and I'm seeing the ticker at the bottom, and every so often it'll pop back up. Jets announce split with Aaron Rodgers. Like it's a celebrity breakup, Grayson.
Anything having to do with Aaron Rodgers is
it's hilarious because
front page news.
And it's perfect because it's such an obnoxious organization and it's such an obnoxious quarterback. It basically is a celebrity breakup.
Pretty much.
It's really unfortunate that Aaron Rodgers, at least by many people, I don't know if this is going to be the consensus, but many people are going to remember Aaron Rodgers as little more than a whack job because of everything he said, all the ayahuasca stuff, the Pat McAfee appearances.
You missed out. You left the best part out. Who the hell likes to go sit in the dark for a week?
Mm-hmm. See, the Aaron Rodgers of my childhood.
Mine too.
I'll die on this freaking hill, man.
I'm with you.
Most talented quarterback that's ever played the game.
Talk to me.
Most talented quarterback that's ever played the game. I have seen Aaron Rodgers make many a throw that no other human being on earth has the capability to make.
He was the best arm ever that I'd ever seen until Patrick Mahomes came along.
I will forever consider him a victim for the way that he was thrown to the wolves for years and years by the Green Bay Packers with no supporting cast whatsoever. At least not a half-decent one.
Never drafted a first-round receiver.
Correct. And all this guy had to do, like, regardless of what he's won, what he hasn't won, what he's accomplished, what he hasn't accomplished, he's got the one Super Bowl title. All he had to do to be remembered as a true legend of the game was just not be an absolute wacko. But that's what he's been. Like, you can't keep a muzzle on that guy. He'll get in front of a microphone and say whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think his Hall of Fame speech is going to sound like?
Because
you know that's going to be a time.
They might have to cut the mic.
Chris from Knoxville, my Aaron Rodgers rookie card value tanked over the last 2 seasons.
I bet it did. Jets. What's a good comp for Jets Aaron Rodgers?
That's a good one.
Who was I comparing Raptors Olajuwon to last week? That's another one. That
Raptors Olajuwon, Celtics Shaq, 76ers Paul George. I know you don't give a damn about the NBA now, but
I didn't even know he played for the 76ers. I thought he was still. How long has it been since he played for the Clippers? That's how much attention I pay to the NBA.
1 year.
Oh, okay. So pretty recently.
He was there last year.
Pretty recently. Okay. Yeah, Celtics Shaq, that's Jets Aaron Rodgers.
Going back to the point of baseball, though, did you go to baseball games this early in the season?
Not by choice.
Okay. It's too damn cold for me. I love going to college baseball games.
It's really freaking cold.
And
windy.
It's especially in Oklahoma. It's too damn cold to be going to baseball games this early.
Brian in Bixby says, Rams Unitas. You're dating yourself there, Brian. That predates me by many, many, many years.
I have heard the stories of Rams Unitas and never saw them.
Chiefs Montana.
See, I think Chiefs Montana.
Seahawks Jerry Rice.
Wow. Montana at least got to an AFC championship game with the Chiefs.
Did he really?
I think he did.
Wow. Good for him. Guess he wasn't washed.
Well, Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl in the season. He threw 9 touchdowns and 17 picks.
Yeah, Peyton Manning was washed at that point.
And he still won a Super Bowl.
He had one of the best defenses of the modern era behind him. Emmitt Smith on the Cardinals. That's a good one. That's a good poll.
There it is.
Jets Brett Favre. Hey, Jets Brett Favre was only that was a 1-year experience, and then on the other side of that, he had a renaissance year with the Vikings.
I always forget Jets Brett Favre existed, which makes this situation with Aaron Rodgers. Boy, the Vikings could do the funniest thing.
Boy, they really could, couldn't they? They'd have to give up on J.J. McCarthy, though, or convince him to ride the bench for another 2 years. Probably not happening. Let's pay off the tees here. Oklahoma is actively locking down official visit dates with some of their top targets in the 2026 class. And I recall that we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, Grayson, where there just wasn't a whole lot of clarity as to what the cornerback board looked like for Oklahoma. We know they're in on 5-star cornerback Brandon Arrington. Well, 5-star athlete Brandon Arrington out of the state of California. They like him at cornerback. He is an elite track athlete, an elite football player, one of the top 10 prospects by consensus in the nation. He's unbelievable. The Sooners would love to have him, but so would everyone else. So you're not really counting on that coming to fruition. If it does, great. If not, you got to have other options. And there's a name that has emerged in recent days. A guy that visited Oklahoma for their junior day in late January while committed elsewhere, mind you. Well, he is no longer committed elsewhere. Mesquite Horn cornerback Ryan Gilbert decommitted from Texas A&M just 3 days ago. Shortly thereafter, I reported to members over at OUinsider.com, and I'll report it to you here on the radio now if you're not a member at OUinsider.com, which I don't know why you wouldn't be. It's a great place to be for OU football and recruiting intel. Ryan Gilbert has scheduled an OU official visit for the Champion Barbecue weekend, June 20th through the 22nd. So, SMU is involved here. Oregon is involved here. Washington is involved. A couple other schools that he's at least going to entertain moving forward. But it does appear that Oklahoma is the leader in the clubhouse right now, and what lends additional credence to that notion is a future cast prediction that flew in this morning from Rivals National Mid-South recruiting analyst Sam Spiegelman. So, Spiegs likes OU for Ryan Gilbert. I'm not necessarily confident enough to throw in a prediction right this second, but I'd say I like OU for Ryan Gilbert as well right now. What's really, really interesting about this, though, Grayson, this whole saga with Ryan Gilbert, is that he has a high school teammate that committed virtually in unison with him to Texas A&M and is still verbally committed to the Aggies as of today, and that is four-star safety Markel Ford, who is a really good player. He also visited Oklahoma in late January for the Junior Day. And so unlike Gilbert, he is still, as of this moment, staying with his verbal pledge to the Aggies. But it does beg the question, if Gilbert has backed off, is Ford, A, going to back off as well, and B, potentially going to wind up at Oklahoma? Because that's been the trend, and that's been the buzz surrounding both Ford and Gilbert for a while now, is if they were to decommit from Texas A&M, Oklahoma would be the school to watch. Well, okay, Gilbert's decommitted. Oklahoma's certainly the school to watch. Ford hasn't yet decommitted, but if he did, boy, I don't know if there's another guy in the country that Brandon Hall in Oklahoma would rather have at that safety spot than Markel Ford. He is extraordinarily gifted, obviously just 2.5 hours down the road, and that would be a killer twofer.
Yeah.
In Mesquite, which is a school correct me if I'm wrong, folks. I think the last Horned Jaguar to come to Oklahoma out of high school was Chris Robeson.
I'm glad you pulled that up because Hawaiian Sooner on the text line. Mesquite Horn like Chris Robeson Mesquite Horn.
Yes,
Mesquite
indeed.
Horn. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Now, there was a former Horned Jaguar by the name of Maurice Wren that transferred to Oklahoma as a walk-on, played a couple years. I think he was at Texas State previously. But Maurice Wren is probably the last Horned Jaguar that Oklahoma has rostered, period. As far as signing a guy out of high school from that particular institution, I do believe you got to go back to Chris Robeson, class of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a real nice pickup for Oklahoma, Grayson, if they were to land Gilbert and or Ford. You get one, great. You get two, that's awesome, especially because they were both, well, one was, committed to Texas A&M at one point.
And the one, I'll play devil's advocate for 10 seconds here.
Okay.
Because I think it begs saying.
Hit me.
If SMU is in the picture, you will have to outbid SMU.
Probably
They
so.
are throwing a money. They're not doing it Texas Tech style, but they're throwing money around like crazy. And if you know anything about that area of Dallas, there's a lot of money going around SMU, a lot of old money. So keep that in mind. Ryan Gilbert, I cut his film on right before we came on here. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's already 5'11", 175, well-built kid. Incredible instincts, and he likes to throw his head around and tackle. And if you can get corners that like to tackle, because a lot of them don't. I played it for a little bit. I didn't like to tackle either. I liked covering people. But if you can...
Finesse guy.
Yes, very much so. But if you can find a corner that can come down and run support, he's got tape as a blitzer too. Good ball skills, really sticky in coverage. I like the kid. Long arms too, which is an underrated asset of playing corner. He's got really long arms, and he's a physical guy, so you can play him in press coverage too if you want to. So he'd be a really good get for Oklahoma from what I've seen from him.
And that's one common denominator that I'm glad you brought up because you see it in the guys that Brandon Hall and Jay Valai have recruited over the years. They like fearless hitters. Regardless of whether they play cornerback or whether they play safety, they like guys who play with no fear and are willing to come downhill and lower the boom on somebody. I mean, the best example, most prominent example of this, and I know you've barely seen anything from him yet, but as a true freshman, the guy that really developed that reputation for himself was Michael Boganowski. Michael Boganowski is always trying to take somebody's head off. The same is true of Robert Spears-Jennings. The same is true of Peyton Bowen. You move over to the cornerback room. I mean, Eli Bowen is the definition of fearless.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you saw that in the way he played throughout 2024. Really, really like what Oklahoma's got in Cortland Guillory as well. Jacoby Johnson's a spectacular athlete. Jeremiah Newcomb, though he's a little bit undersized, is, again, I'll use the word, fearless. And so for Valai and Hall, you know, I'm not sure anyone would be sure how much coordination there is between those two, genuinely, in terms of their recruiting efforts and just kind of working in lockstep with one another to recruit the secondary. But it's very clear that the type of guy they prefer as individuals is one and the same, which is just somebody that's going to play absolutely fearless football and is not going to shy away from contact, is not going to back down at the point of attack, is going to be willing to come downhill and run support, put their nose down, and lay the wood on somebody. And then in coverage, somebody that can hold their own in man or zone with equal aplomb. I really, really like the pieces for Oklahoma in the secondary right now. And it looks like they're on track to add some more good ones in the 2026 class. Ryan Gilbert and Markel Ford, they would be two phenomenal additions. They were good enough for Texas A&M. They're more than good enough for Oklahoma. The Sooners will continue to press to flip Ford and should be considered one of the favorites, if not the outright favorite moving forward for Gilbert now that he is back on the open market. All right, keep firing away on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line 405-651-3439. One more segment of Locked In on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Hey Sooner fans, this is Lexi Keys, and you're listening to the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Fall in love with OKC's favorite casino.
Because at Riverwind, we've got it all. Grab a bite at one of our many restaurants.
Or sip and spin at our high-stakes area.
And the Showplace Theater at Riverwind is the hottest spot for live music.
Shoot your shot at our $80,000 Cupid's Quest giveaway.
For the best gaming and unforgettable entertainment.
It's gotta be Riverwind.
There are trucks, then there's the truck. GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your Oklahoma GMC dealers. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swinging.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game. All year. The Ref has you covered.
Catch opening weekend of Sooner baseball against the Lehigh Mountain Hawks Friday at 4, Saturday at 2, and Sunday morning at 11 a.m. right here on the Ref and the K-Ref app.
Entrepreneurs and More Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. More Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, More Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about More Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Life is full of big moments, and at OU Federal Credit Union, they are happy to help you make those moments happen. Thinking of buying a home? OUFCU offers mortgage loans with competitive rates and flexible terms. If you already own a home, their home equity loans can help you make those much-needed renovations or pay off high-interest debt. But it's not about the loans, it's about the people. Ready to make the next step toward your dreams? Visit OU Federal Credit Union today. Your home sweet loan is just around the corner. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
Tired of soaring insurance expenses or feeling uncertain about your coverage? At Right Way Insurance, every client receives a dedicated team of experts committed to addressing all your insurance worries. As an independent insurance company, they provide both personal and business coverage. Let them assist you in finding the optimal coverage for your specific needs. Contact Right Way Insurance at 405-607-6014 or at rightwayinsuranceok.com. That's Right Way Insurance, your trusted partner at 405-607-6014.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
Because when I'm a teacher, I can help kids to learn and chase their dreams.
PI, a defect of the immune system, affects millions of children. Early and accurate diagnosis and treatment give children like Sam a chance to achieve their dreams.
It takes a lot of caring teachers to make school fun. It took a lot of caring people to keep my dream alive. And now, because of them, I can be head of the class.
For more information, visit the Jeffrey Modell Foundation at info4pi.org.
Interesting text from Santa John to kick off our final segment here. It's a good point on his part. He says, I'm really concerned as it appears Soul Mission is imploding. I suppose Caleb King Kelly is still employed there and apparently the only one left of the originals. When you think about the people that were involved with the Soul Mission operation from the jump. Curtis Lofton, he's moved on. Josh Norman, he's moved on. Now you got Zoo Lossman, as of today, who was crucial to the whole Soul Mission operation. She is no longer involved. Well, I shouldn't say she is no longer involved. The expectation is she's no longer going to be involved now that her husband has taken an assistant quarterback's job at Washington. And so, yeah, it really does feel like, and I know there's going to be some divisive opinions on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line about that, because I'm not even really sure. There are plenty of people that feel like they could do away with the whole Soul Mission operation and not be any worse off. Feel like it's a waste of OU's resources, a waste of OU's, just something that is completely superfluous to the football operation in the NIL era, where you just got to buy talent and spend money to accumulate scholarship players in your roster that are worth their place and can put you in the conversation for a national title. Then there are many, understandably, that take the opposite view and say, hey, look, in the NIL era, if you're not going to have elite spending capacity like a Miami or an Oregon or a Texas A&M, you got to have something that can set you apart, and the Soul Mission helps Oklahoma do that. And I know it's one of the very first things that Brent Venables, when he got to campus, one of the very first things that he made sure he implemented was the foundation for that Soul Mission. So I don't think Soul Mission is going anywhere. It's going to look a lot different, though, especially just from a staffing personnel standpoint. Because, yeah, all the key cogs in the machine, at least the initial machine, are now out of the picture.
Yeah, and something like that, more so than being financial, is relational, too.
Mm-hmm.
And when you bring up the departure of Lossman, that hits at a relational level to some people. And I know of kids, whether it was AAU or moving to moving into the Dallas area when I was playing, sometimes they would gravitate to some people's moms just for a comfort level, right? And if she was that, and I don't know this is purely hypothetical, but if she was that to some of the players, and she had that quality about her, that can be a subtraction for sure, and a substantial one. So when I think of something that's relational like that, you don't gloss over it. Is it the be-all, end-all? Probably not. But to say, from what I understand about the Soul Mission, to say if you get rid of it, you're not missing much, or you'll be better off without it, I think is a little bit of an overstatement.
It's out of touch.
Agreed.
It's out of touch.
Yes.
Because as CJ Sooner in Florida on the text line pointed out, anyone that thinks Soul Mission doesn't add value is not listening to the parents of the players. You do need to pay, but Soul Mission adds value. Another 405 listener says, I hear a lot of recruits say that the culture here is different than other schools, so why get rid of it? And look, could there maybe be a case for scaling down Soul Mission operation? Is that maybe kind of a natural consequence of the losses of some critical personnel over the last couple weeks? Sure. Like, if you want to engage in that whole debate, that's fine. To eliminate it, is not realistic, certainly not commensurate with Brent Venables' vision for the program, and also probably not for the best.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound wise.
No, it doesn't. You have something that can help set you apart in the NIL era, something that it's worked in the past. You convince kids and their parents that, hey, taking the biggest financial offer isn't the best course of action. What we have here for you in terms of structure and support is in the long run going to outweigh an extra $100,000 somewhere else. That hits home. It's not 100% successful.
No.
It doesn't have a 100% success rate because there will be players and there will be parents that just want to get paid as much as possible, and they will go to the school that pays them the most.
But keep this in mind. These are grown kids. I'm grown now. My mom's opinion matters on stuff.
Mm-hmm. And how much more did it matter when you were 17?
A hell of a lot more than now that I'm 23. But it still matters. And kids don't grow out of that. So, recruiting parents, especially recruiting mom, is a really big thing. And when you have something relational like that can help with that, you might want to keep it. Look, it may have to undergo some kind of a transition. And it probably will, with the changing of personnel there. But you can't scrap it. That would be the dumbest thing.
Somebody in the 405 texted in and said, dump the Soul Mission. These guys are big boys now and make more money than the average Oklahoman. They should need someone to hold their hand if they're taking the money. It's time to grow up. I beg you, please put yourself back in the shoes of the 18-year-old version of you. Because that's absolutely the wrong way to look at things. And it's absolutely a misguided and inaccurate evaluation of where these kids are at in life. And yeah, okay, you can call them adults. For all intents and purposes, you're 18 years old. You're still a kid. Much as you would like to think you're an adult, you're still a kid. And I'll tell you this much. I was just a regular college student, Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to balance athletics. I didn't have to deal with the constant pressure and constant travail that comes with playing Power 4 football. And if I hadn't had the presence of several different key figures throughout the process, throughout my college years, advisors, counselors, mentors, all of those people outside of just the people you're interacting with on in a classroom on a day-to-day basis, if I hadn't had those people guiding me and helping point me in the right direction, it would have been a whole lot more difficult. Could I have made it? Sure. Yeah, I think I could have. Would I have been set up as well as I was? Absolutely not.
I can raise my hand and concur to that one. I mean, and you're talking about dudes who are playing football.
Yeah, and again, if that's the case for me and you, how much more is that the case for kids who are balancing what is a full-time job and then some in playing college football?
And let me throw this back to the people who want to dump the Soul Mission, however few of you that might be, however many of you that might be. Let me ask you this question. How much more angry at the kids are you going to get if they don't perform well because they're not functioning?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because something's not being taken care of that could be taken care of with a foundation like the Soul Mission.
Santa John said, don't forget about Ryan Young, too. Yeah, Ryan Young. That's another original member of the Soul Mission crew that has since moved on. Ardmore Sooner says, Soul Mission is awesome. The purpose is to remind these young men that football isn't the most important thing in life. Their faith and well-being are. Keep it. Yeah, so forgive me if I'm not just in favor of telling these kids, hey, you're going to spend 60 hours a week on football. You're going to spend 30 hours a week on school. Go figure it out. It's not the way to do things.
I mean, telling normal students you're going to spend 30 hours a week on school, go figure the rest out, is challenging enough.
Yes, and Chris from Knoxville says not every 18 to 22-year-old has the maturity or guidance that early on in life. The Soul Mission is meant to help. I think people forget about that side.
Dude, I tell people this all the time. I was a normal student. I was done playing basketball by the time I went to college. My freshman year of college, I was staying up till 3 in the morning every single freaking night as a normal student. Now imagine that, and I had pretty good guidance as from my parents. Mm-hmm. But imagine that as an athlete and nobody telling you, hey, like, you're doing school, you're doing sports, go to bed. I mean, just simple things like, I know it's a very simple, overlooked thing, but just simple things like that and just that kind of guidance can go a long way.
Let me take you guys back 3 years. Imagine telling the true freshman version of Jaden Gibson, all right, you're on your own. You're an adult.
Oh, Jesus.
Go figure it out for yourself. That kid would not still be at Oklahoma. I'm not sure where he would be. He would not have lasted at the University of Oklahoma because he needed guidance. He needed structure. He needed support. He needed far more experienced and far wiser adults in his life that had lived more life than he had at this point to help him along the way. And that's exactly what happened. And the version of Jaden Gibson that you have here today in 2025 is a far cry from the version of Jaden Gibson that showed up to Oklahoma as an immature kid from Winter Garden, Florida, that could not keep his head screwed on straight for the entirety of the first year he was on campus. And that's just one example. And one mild example, right? Like, just imagine for a second with me here. And let's go back to 2021. Trajan Bridges, Seth McGowan, and Mikey Henderson, when they all got kicked off the team in the spring of 2021 for holding up their weed dealer and pistol whipping him.
That happened?
Yes, that happened. Again, yeah, I get that precedes you. That precedes Brent Venables' time on staff. But, like,
good Lord.
And I know it's completely hypothetical. There's no right answer. But it does beg the question, could that have been avoided if those guys had the support system in place that exists now for them at Oklahoma and for student athletes, for football players at Oklahoma with the Soul Mission? Because in Bridges' case, that was not his first scrape. Right? He had been suspended before multiple times, I do believe, and it had just been one problem after another, and he was wondrously talented. I mean, the night that Trajan Bridges was, detained by Norman police, not hours prior to that, I had a conversation with somebody in the building that said the most talented wide receivers on this roster by a long shot are Trajan Bridges and Marvin Mims. It's those two and everybody else. Well, you see what happened with Marvin Mims. Second-round draft pick. He's doing more than all right for himself as a Denver Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
Could that have been Trajan Bridges' story if things hadn't gotten him sidetracked? And yeah, you know what? No one is to blame for that but him. But does that mostly boil down to the fact that he was an immature kid that didn't have enough support and enough guidance and enough direction from the program for which he played football and showed up to the buildings every single day to work towards his dream of playing in the NFL? Could that have been averted if the Soul Mission existed at that time? Again, I don't know the answer to that question. We'll never know. But the Soul Mission absolutely does more harm than good.
John, whoa. It does more good than harm.
It does more good than harm, excuse me. Thank you for correcting me. I would have thought I said that correctly and just blown straight through it. John from Tulsa says the Soul Mission is one of the few things left in CFB that has been brought into this new pay-to-play world. Amen to that. Sooner Soldier says, if I remember right, the Soul Mission is why a lot of players committed. It's been critical in so many players' decisions during the time that Venables and his staff have been here at Oklahoma. One of my favorite examples is Samuel Masigo. Samuel Masigo's mom passed away shortly before he arrived on campus at Oklahoma. He was a summer enrollee. But his mom, was just the linchpin of his family. Mom meant everything to him. And she navigated the recruiting process with him. And he, from what I recall, kind of wanted to navigate the whole process, see a bunch of different schools, make the most of it all. And when he visited Oklahoma, it was his mom that was like, nope, this is where you need to be. This is where you're going to be the most loved, most supported. This is the program that's going to take care of you the way that I've taken care of you. And Sammy agreed, and he committed to Oklahoma. And I think if he were on these airwaves and could answer the question, I would venture to say he'd tell you that the program has done everything for him to this point, and the Soul Mission has done everything for him to this point, that his mom, God rest her soul, imagined that it would. Okay, folks, that's it for Locked In here on a Thursday. For Grayson Singleton, I'm Parker Thune. Thanks for coming along for the ride. We will see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Don't go anywhere right now, though, because up next, it is The Rush with Tyler McComas and Buckus Award.